Thank you, fratres and sorors, dear friends, for attending this tonight. I want to make a quick announcement. We will be proposing and sharing a toast at the very end of this meeting. So if you could be prepared for that, it can be a drink of your choice. It could be water, tea. It could even be peppermint hot cocoa. There will be a summary slide at the end, and that could also be a good time for you to find that little toast. So I just wanted to say that. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now, and we'll begin. This week-long symposium, Meeting the God of Your Heart, is an expressive method of an ancient mystery school and its centuries-old work of illuminating human consciousness. You are now, as you hear these words, a part of this work as it threads its way into human thought. Humanity as a whole is rather unaware of, or at least seldom thinks about, our role of projecting light through our consciousness into the world. Because of this lack of focus, consciousness remains shrouded behind a material veil for most. We objectively forget that there is a greater consciousness always overseeing us. But we, dear friends, are seekers of that greater light. We know that light is there and cannot remain shrouded. Our waking consciousness is the visible that seeks the invisible light of the world. We take heed of the words of Master Jesus when he said, "You are the light of the world." We have roamed with Rumi when he stated that our light lights the world. We are dual in nature. Our soul personality is a vehicle for us to learn, to expand our consciousness until we witness that greater light that gives us life. This overseeing power runs our vehicle, and our objective mind steers it. If we can train our objective mind to listen to our inner voice, that greater light will guide us to itself. Our entire existence makes itself known through light. Material light of various wavelengths and invisible light that makes itself known to us as an inspiration when we contemplate it. The practice of communing with that inner self that we refer to as the God of our hearts is the essence of mysticism. This practice has played a leading role in creating and utilizing disciplines of learning. Science, music, all bodies of knowledge began as a quiet, lesser light of desire to understand life. We ponder the marvels of our world, and that pondering never sleeps. It may go quiet as we face material adversities, but it never goes away. Pondering itself is a torch that illumines our inner world, guiding us within our holy inner halls. This subtle voice twinkles and blinks as a light in our darkness. Just as the crystals in the snow glimmer upon the night, drawing our experiences inward. Behind every darkness we perceive, there is a pureness that gives light and life to our perception. Thus, while our struggles in this world are very real, we can know that we abide in the arms of a divine source, even in the most difficult of times. Every trial we go through is part of an illuminating process of uncovering a personal obstacle so that we can see it, overcome it, and continue towards that divine source. When we consciously witness this inner wisdom, we come to understand that we must find a way to share these inspirations into the world, to be the light in the darkness. Thus comes this symposium on this winter night, where together we contemplate the curriculum of an ancient mystery school, sharing and furthering the knowledge of the sages of old. And what is this world if not beauty itself in all its sublimity? The purpose of our spiritual evolution is to gradually rise toward the beautiful, the good, and the true. These words of Plato, one of those sages, ascertains that our purpose is spiritual. Many of us inwardly feel we have a purpose in life, though fewer of us recognize that purpose to be spiritual evolution. Many go through life with little or no direction towards understanding self, but we have chosen a different path. We have felt the good and the true, asking us to reveal them, and we cannot refuse such a request. We have been touched by that sweetness of the indwelling soul that longs for recognition. We feel that touch in good times and in difficult ones, because it is always there, calling. We know that the greatest beauty, the greatest light, lies within us. This is the work. We are striving to illuminate the perplexities of life, to learn to be better, and to find ways to help one another. The city did not need the sun or the moon for light, since it was lit by the radiant glory of God. Nations will come to its light, and the kings of the earth will bring it their treasures. Its gates will never be closed by day, and there will be no night there. Dear friends, within this symbolism of the New Jerusalem from the Holy Bible is a promise of our own evolution. We are here to spiritualize matter through our conscious interaction with it. We project and create into this world. We have a directive power to capture immaterial ideas and bring them into manifestation. We do this through thought, word, and deed. If we can direct our creativity from our deeper self that is lighted by the way of the heart, we will then truly shine a light upon the darkness of our illusions. Mystical practices develop a discipline to follow this way. Our Rosicrucian code of life establishes a foundation for this discipline. One of these codes in particular is an example of extending light into the world, directed from the light of our hearts and through our hands. It states in part, before every meal, give thanks to the divine for being fortunate enough to have something to eat. And think of all those who do not have this privilege. Place your hands above your food, palms down, and say mentally or aloud, may this food be purified and magnetized by the vibrations radiating from our hands, so to provide for our body and soul's needs. May all those who are hungry be associated with this meal and be given a spiritual share of its benefits. This benediction pays homage to the connections that exist in our worldly structure and the links we consciously observe through the mineral, plant, animal, and human kingdoms. We share this world. We depend upon one another. And through such guided thought, we are spiritualizing matter and providing care to all elements and existence in our world. Our privilege of having the choice to focus upon our indwelling consciousness is a process of recognition, consciously acknowledging the divine presence in us that gives guidance to each cell in our bodies. Now let's take a few deep breaths and relax into our chairs. Breathe in and breathe out and just simply relax into your chair. Now, if you would, place your hands together in front of you as if in prayer. We will now perform some positive breathing. We'll breathe in as deeply as we can and hold that inhalation for as long as is comfortable, and then exhale as completely as we can, and then repeat. So let's begin this now. Breathe in, hold that inhalation, and when you are ready, exhale, and then repeat. We'll do that for a few cycles. Continue your positive breathing. And now focus upon your fingertips. Feel the energy of that vital life force building there. Continuing your deep breathing, feel that energy build through your fingers and into your palms. Continuing your positive breathing, now place your left hand over the heart and the right hand over the left. Feel that vital life force now beating in your heart as you continue your positive breathing. Feel that vital life force now coursing throughout your body. Acknowledge this divine energy and give thanks to it. And now, when you're ready, you can discontinue your positive breathing. Take a few more normal breaths, and we'll continue. When we recognize ourselves with love and gratitude, as we have just done, We are creating a loving memory in them of that higher guiding consciousness communicating back to them and to us. But where does our memory go once we are no longer here? Of what value are the thoughts, words, and deeds that we have performed? Dear friends, they remain in the light of the world. In the journey of consciousness, we know the cells of our body have a memory. We often hear about muscle memory and how it functions in various ways. We see this as a physical phenomenon, but it is more of a conscious phenomenon. Your body is conscious of, indeed is guided by, a much higher power. The memory of gratitude that we build within us with these practices naturally manifests into an outer kindness. Kindness is also attached to a higher consciousness, for it is a wonderful human practice that creates a positive link between the giver, the receiver, and the divine. We experience a warm feeling when we have helped someone or witnessed a kind act. This sets off activity throughout the body, similar to the release of endorphins. It is a biological, autonomic connection between our higher spiritual self and our physical consciousness. Nature has wired us to be kind and helpful as our body rewards this kindness with pleasurable sensations. This is demonstrably a higher consciousness at work, a psychological memory created between us, others, and that autonomic higher conscious source that gives us life. The subconscious mind also is continuously aware of our surroundings and experiences, absorbing all events and storing them, a process we are mostly unaware of. It is a higher conscious learning and memory system. At times, we will have objective experiences of déjà vu or an intuitive hunch that we can't explain. And it may be that our conscious mind is tapping into this subconscious source. Students of the traditional Martinist order examine this reality of conscious levels, relating them to various worlds and divine immensities. We gradually begin to recognize that the outer world is given to us so that we can experience the inner world. And the inner world is given to us to explore the outer world. This mystical work is a form of thought alchemy, a process of introducing higher thought into our objective mind. Through this thought alchemy, a spiritual alchemy takes place to recognize the purest thoughts of our nature. Look at this rendering of the Kabbalistic tree of life. Some of you are familiar with this and immediately gain meanings from the sight of it. Some are totally unfamiliar with its possible symbolic meaning. What power does this symbol have? It by itself has no power. It only begins its journey when we apply conscious human thought or light to it. We as humans have observed the mysteries of life placed before us and have uncovered clues to these mysteries, creating symbols and formulas to help explain our existence. Yet if there were no observation and resulting conscious intervention, these formulas and symbols would not exist. No other creature that we know of has the power to imbue conscious light into the world like this. We have developed many ways of observing and studying the nature of light. At Berkeley Labs, researchers studying photosynthesis detected quantum beating signals generated in the photosynthesis process of a leaf. This motion of energy defied time, exploring all potential energy pathways simultaneously and instantly traveling only the most efficient pathways for the photosynthesis to occur. Experiments with the human aura using Kirlian photography has shown similar evidence that light adjusts within the human aura before there is a reaction in the brain. Some scientists believe that the brain therefore reacts to an outer consciousness or director, and that the physical brain then reacts to this activity. This has led to a variety of theories, one of which is called the radical plasticity theory. This theory states that consciousness isn't just an occurrence in the brain, it is the brain and us that are reacting to both the visible and invisible environment and learning to be conscious of it. If consciousness is learned, this means that we are all advancing into an ever-expanding form of consciousness. We indeed observe this growth of consciousness in ourselves and others as we go through life, and we see it as well in other life forms. Therefore, we know that there are different levels of consciousness that exist, and we can surmise that there are conscious levels that we are as yet unaware of. Nature can help us to define different levels of consciousness if we listen. All of us have felt the beauty of dusk at the end of day, creating a sort of longing within us that we are unable to explain. It is as if nature herself is calling us. Imagine being in this scene that you see here on the screen. A slight wind moves the trees about. Whiffs of earth awaken to you as moisture begins to settle onto the ground. There is now a convergence of earth, air, water, and fire occurring before you. And these physical currents are leading you to a spiritual alchemy that draws you closer to your inner essence. As the sun sets into the horizon, you see and feel dusk's sultry nature. Dotting the sky, you begin to see those living sparks upon the dark. They speak to your wonderment, further impelling your inner awakening, even as darkness sets in. These lights are now throned as the brightest in the darkness, and you recognize that their guiding brilliance was lost in daily light. As daylight fades, directing lights in the darkness have begun. Their mystery draws you inward with awe. We now know these stars are suns, galaxies, and worlds reflecting light back to us. Telescopes that we have created have opened up a wondrous world of brilliance. Here, a galaxy projects her light seemingly alone in the darkness, brightening heaven's void. Centered before invisible shrouds, her calmness belies vital, spinning, stormy clouds. Far from us, she flickers, she blinks, finesse, yet within her blows mighty cosmic winds. We know there are uncountable small worlds within her, yet all of them emanate as one. Your eyes rest on her, though most of her is unseen behind these spiraling, enticing, and sacred beams. We inwardly feel there must be a form of directing consciousness here. We are drawn to natural wonders like this in a special way. There is an awe, a wonderment. Why is it there? What might it be like to go there? Why does it exist for us to observe? Dear friends, there is an arcane sea embedded in the creation that we experience. It exists behind the objective facade of material scenes, a guiding force to existence. We are privileged to recognize this force and contemplate it. Since it seems to function beyond our physical senses, we search for this guiding force everywhere, forgetting that it is obviously part of us, within us, and guiding us as well. As we look outside of ourselves, the majesty of that arcane creator, whose finger guides and creates everything, emanates within our consciousness. A shared force holds all things together and animates it. We cannot see something thinking for the cosmos any more than we can see something thinking for us. But we can examine ourselves and recognize that thought drives us forward. There is a consciousness that gives life and sustains life. It is hidden, but right before us, operating everywhere. We are infused with this directive energy with our first breath. As long as that vital life force remains with us, cohesion and adhesion act to maintain our physical form, guided by a divine intelligence. This same force guides the cosmos we see. Somewhere within, we have the purest ambition of our Creator, towards which all other ambitions are emulating. This is the source of our longing, a guiding influence from our Creator and the link that binds us. All it takes is a conscious glance inward to recognize it. It is our hidden promise that reveals itself when we seek it. Close your eyes now, if you would. Let's try to imagine mastership. What might that be like? Draw yourself inward. Try to imagine that all human frailties have disappeared from your being. You have become a selfless servant with only a desire to guide others to the purity you have found. Take a second and try to feel this purity surrounding you. Now imagine you are walking into view of other people. All eyes are upon you, knowing that you bring love and guidance. With these adoring eyes upon you, what do you feel? Remember, pride and selfishness have vanished from your mind. Yet you know everyone feels your love, your kind understanding. They want to learn from you, to be with you. Can you sidestep your ego? Now think of the love we have when we adore nature. Nature begs for our adoration. And when we provide this to her, she communes back to us with her own language, her own form of gratitude. Yet we see her remain selfless, always doing the bidding of our Creator. Ponder just for a few moments the effects of your observance upon nature and her reaction to it. Thank you, everyone. We move past human imperfections through experiences that expose them so that they can be reconciled. We can feel through thought what mastership might be like. Yet all of us who have walked this mystical path for many years understands that achieving mastership requires a disciplined effort. Our inner world must change so that our view of the outer world may change. Our perceptions must be purified so that we see the purity behind the illusions we have created for ourselves. We must work at this as the alchemist who labors within the royal art. We will face adversity. We will fail with our reactions. We will feel at times that mastership is unattainable. This is a process of recognition, of shedding the light of consciousness more deeply into all that we experience, and eventually illuminating our most pure essence. Yesterday was our winter solstice. Wintry weather grips many of us as less daylight and cold force us indoors. Yet in the midst of this period of prolonged dark, there is a light of human spirit that diligently breaks through. All around, colorful lights pierce the darkness, expressing the beauty of light. We are creatures that strive for light whenever we find ourselves in darkness. This time of year can be difficult for some, but it represents our yearning to share the gift of the light of light that is mysteriously befallen to us, that gift that is common to each of us. While we attribute this giving spirit and the lights to the holidays, we should contemplate the fact that we as a species have consciously created this tradition of giving light in all its forms to this world. It is not the holidays which have done this, it is us. Our consciousness is a process of recognition, and recognition requires illumination and begets illumination. Behind our objective actions is a shedding of our light into this world. And what a journey we share. We seldom give thought that we share this world at this time with all others. We come into this world flailing about, stuck inside our heads, and trying alone in our own world to make sense of what we are experiencing. We look outside of our inner world towards the outer world and return what we think we see to our inner mind, gradually building our world internally. No one else shares our internal world. It is unique. Yet we do share the experience of human awareness. We are upon this world with a gift of light and lighted being. We are here to assist one another to shed light upon our shared paths. In summary, we are the light in the darkness. We just need to become more aware of it. We can naturally practice this with the summary shown here. Pay attention to your pondering and follow its lead. Remember, our difficulties are illuminating something we need to become conscious of. Think about others who are in need and send them your consoling thoughts, especially at mealtimes. Take time to acknowledge the flowing energy that animates you. Be kind and help others at every opportunity. Search for kindness in your world so that you link yourself to divine action. Remember, consciousness is learned, so be a good student. Allow nature to speak to you and learn to listen to her. And finally, remember that a greater light guides everything. Your purpose is spiritual evolution. Strive to enjoy this wondrous journey and rise toward the good, the beautiful, and the true. And to that, let us have a toast. And if you could, just raise your glasses. When the nights are cold and long, and the light of day diminished, may our hearts sustain us clearly, that through our light, the dark is vanquished. May we share that human favor where the love of light burns strong, that even darkness we might savor, locked in ethereal song. Dear friends, I wish you the greatest blessings for the holidays, for the new year, and always. May we ever be the light in the darkness for others to follow. Cheers. Thank you, fratres and sorors, and dear friends.